Hi, how are you guys doing today? It's Heather with the Quilted Cat Sewing Studio. And for my demo December projects, I am going to show you how to do a rag quilt in your embroidery hoop. Isn't this something different? You guys probably haven't really seen that done too much or anybody talk about it. So what I am going to do is sort of step by step through this process and show you how to layer your fabrics in your embroidery hoop to do your quilting. And then once you have all of your layers assembled, you are going to go ahead and piece together your quilt. So what will you need for this project? Okay, the first thing that you're going to need is a layer cake. I like to use flannel for my rag quilts. This is a Moda layer cake from Primitive Gatherings. It is called Lakeside Gatherings, and it is all flannel. These are pre-cut 10-inch squares, and this is perfect for doing a rag quilt because your squares are pre-cut. You don't have to worry about fussing and cutting everything yourself. However, if you can't find a layer cake that you like in the fabrics that you like, you can go ahead and cut up 10-inch squares of your own. That's all you need to do is just 10-inch squares. This comes with 42 pieces already cut, and I am only going to use 40 of those. So basically my quilt top, or my rag quilt, is going to end up 4 blocks across and 5 blocks down. And because I am leaving a 1-inch seam allowance on all 4 sides, my finished square is only going to be 8 inches. So that means that the top of my project is only going to wind up 48 by, I'm terrible at math. 48 by 56. I'm pretty sure that's it. Okay. So the flannel pre-cut 10-inch squares are the best that I enjoy using for making my rag quilts. Okay, what else are you going to need? We're going through this whole process here. We need to have batting. And I like to have my batting pre-cut into 9-inch squares. This is great for using up scraps of your batting. Does it matter if it's 100% cotton, if it's 80-20? That's up to you. That's your personal choice, okay? The flannel is very warm. Sometimes I like to do my rag quilts without any batting, but for this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do these with the batting. And then you also want to have your lightweight mesh. So Kimberbell has two different types of mesh. You have your ultralight and you have your lightweight. Either one of these will work for this project. You're basically just stabilizing everything that you're doing in the hoop, and this also makes it easier to do this without having to hoop any of your flannels, okay? So much easier to line everything up. So to start, you're gonna go ahead and cut your flannel. I am using an 8x8 hoop for my project because I have 10x10 squares. So I'm using an 8x8 hoop for this project. And I've gone ahead and I've hooped my mesh. So here's my mesh already hooped. Now, what do I need to start? First of all, you are definitely going to want to wind multiple bobbins of your thread that you are using for your quilting, whether it's your, a white or something that's going to blend in better. I chose to use a very soft gray for mine, and I am definitely using 3 bobbins to start pre-wound just to make sure that I'm not going to run out and have to wind more later on down the road. Of course, you're only doing 1 square at a time, so if you need to do that, that is perfectly acceptable. All right, so what do we need to do first? first we're going to go ahead and load the design that we're going to use for our quilting on our machine. As you can see here, I have already chosen my design. This was the 6x6 retro lines, and what I have done is enlarged it to fit my 8x8 frame. I do not have a hoop that's large enough for the 8x8 Kimberbell design because that needs an 8.5 by 8.5 inch embroidery field. And because I don't have that, I took the next size down, and using my machine, I went ahead and enlarged it to as big as it would go in my hoop. I have also loaded the crosshairs, which you can't see here on the screen at this time, but they are right in here. And I'll show you a little bit later on what those are going to do. All right, so now that I have everything loaded on my machine, I'm going to go ahead and start with the first part of my project. All right, so starting with 2 of the blocks from my layer cake, and I like to mix up how the colors are because this is going from dark to light. I am going to pull one off the top, and then I'm going to take one off the bottom. All right, so here's my 2 squares for my first piece, and I've got those set here. I have my piece of batting, and following the basic directions from Kimberbell's block by block quilting, I am going to first start by stitching out the placement line for my batting. Now that this is finished on the placement line, I will go ahead and put my piece of batting. This was 9 by 9, so this is going to fill my entire hoop area, but it's also going to cover up this placement line. And now I will stitch the batting tack down. Now that I've finished the batting tack down, I'm going to go ahead and trim the excess batting away from the edges right along that stitched out line. Okay, so I have all of my batting trimmed away, and now I'm going to need to do just a little bit of a adjustment in my stitching for this particular point of the project. Remember, we loaded those crosshairs. Now we've already done steps 1 and 2 of the background quilting steps, but we need to put on the crosshairs, and this is so I can center my blocks of fabric onto this batting piece. So what you will need to do at this point is go back to the background quilting step whether that's advancing or reversing your steps in here, or if you don't have the capability to actually load 2 files at once, you'll need to go ahead and close your background quilting file, open the crosshair file, and do this next step. Okay, now I have my crosshairs stitched on here, and at this point I'm going to need to go ahead and return my stitch designs back to the file that I chose, and I want to jump ahead to number 3 in the stitching designs. This time it's going to stitch a placement line for my fabric. Now, this isn't necessarily something that we need to do because we know where we're going to place our fabric. We're going to use our crosshairs for that part of it. So we can actually go ahead and stitch that, or if you'd like, you can go ahead and skip that part. All right, now, what did I do these crosshairs for? I'm going to go ahead and take my 10-inch square and I'm going to fold it in half, right sides together in both directions. So now I've created my folded piece. Here is my center, here's my 2 raw edges. What I want to do is take my hoop and I'm going to place in the low corner right here. My raw edges are this direction, and I'm going to go ahead and fold this open this way and then fold it open top and bottom. And I've lined all that up with my crosshairs. And now I can go ahead and take some tape and put that in place. If you'd like to have a little bit of a stronger hold, you can go ahead and put some spray based onto your fabric before attaching it on here. That would give it a little bit of a stickiness that you could use to hold that on the batting. If you use anything like a Bow Nash powder, you could also use that to adhere that to that spot. You don't want to do anything too heavy because unlike a fusible webbing, you don't want that stiffness to it because this is going to be a nice soft rag quilt. Okay, now for my backing piece, I've got the same process. I'm going to fold it in half both directions. So I have that all set. I'm going to flip my hoop over to the back, and I'm going to repeat the process of placing this in the lower corner here and opening it up and taping it down. And the whole time I'm going to go ahead and keep all of these parts lined up and then placing my Kimber tape on the edges to hold it in place. All right, so now I have my backing piece all lined up. I'm going to go ahead and return this to my machine, and now I'm going to do the batting tack down. You want to make sure that when you put your hoop back on your machine that your backing fabric is staying flat, that it hasn't somehow folded up under there while you were putting it back on the machine, because you definitely don't want to come down and find out after you've done this. But just because at this point all we've done is a tack down, it's really easy for us to take this hoop off the machine right now and find out if we actually, oh, see, we managed to catch it on there. Good thing I checked it before we kept going. We'll get back to it right away. All right, now we've got that fixed. This would be sometimes one of those reasons why using the spray would be a little bit easier, because otherwise I've got to get a lot of tape on there. And unfortunately, my hoop is not as big as my fabric. So trying to tape it onto the edges there is a little bit harder. So it would probably be a really nice thing to use that spray base on here with this. Okay, now we've got everything done that we've started out with, just the basting and getting the actual batting put in there. So our final step now is going to be quilting the pattern onto the background. All right, so this is great. I've picked this fun pattern. Let's give it a go. So now my background quilting is completed, and this took a little while because I did pick a pretty detailed design. You can choose whatever design that you'd like to use with yours. If this was a special occasion or a themed quilt, you could always purchase one that fits the theme of the quilt. If it's going to be for a man, you could do something more sports themed. If it has fishing on it, you could do fishing. If it's winter, you could do snowflakes or a little snowman. The Kimberbell digital library for background quilting is expansive, so you could definitely find something that would fit the needs. But this one came with one of my quilting bundles. I believe this was with the I want to say it came with the mini quilts bundle. So that is what I chose with this one. I do have another sample piece that I've prepped that has just a zigzag, standard zigzag all the way across, very simple. And that one ran lightning quick. When you're doing a rag quilt, generally all you're looking to do is just something to stabilize the two pieces, and most people just do an X through the center. That's fine. But this is something new, and I'm doing it for my demos. All right, so hold on just a second here and I'll show you what's next in our steps. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this from my frame, peel away any of the excess tape that you have left on there, and go ahead and pop that right out of there. Tightened it really good, so it's a bit harder than I wanted it to be right now. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to trim away this excess mesh, but we also want to take it back far enough that it's not in our fringe when we rag our quilt. So very carefully. You want to make sure that we've got this folded back and this part folded back. And I'm just going to go ahead and take my ruler and my rotary cutter and just past the actual flannel. I don't want to cut my flannel, so I'm going just past it there. I'm going to go ahead and trim away the excess mesh. I'm going to do that on all 4 sides, but remember, fold back your back piece. You don't want to accidentally cut that. I know sometimes we get excited and we get in a hurry and we're just, oh, I'm having so much fun with this. It's so easy. On the other hand, that's also why in a layer cake, you have 2 extra pieces. Fun fact, you've got a mistake piece. It's already built into the layer cake. All right. And it's nice with the mesh, you can kind of see through it to see that you haven't cut your fabric there. All right, so now I have all 4 sides of my mesh trimmed away, and now I'm going to go ahead and start assembling some of my pieces. So here is the other one that I did earlier today, and this one, obviously it's very hard to see any of that quilting on there, but if I get close enough, see, there's my zigzags. All right, so here's the other fun thing. Doesn't matter which one of these is my front and which one of these is my back. I like to alternate though. I like to have a dark and then a light on my rag quilts. So what I want to do with this is lay my wrong sides, these are my wrong sides, together. And I am going to stitch 1 inch from my edge. Now, there is my basting stitch in here still. Does that matter? No. Can I take it out if I want to? Sure, but it's actually a good marker for that 1 inch from the edge. If I take my ruler and hold it here and go 1 inch from my edge, that basting stitch is just about 1/8 of an inch farther in. So I can leave it in there or I can go ahead and take it out. It's your preference. You can either make this as hard or as easy as you'd like it to be. But once I've sewn these 2 pieces together, I'm going to open this up, and this will be the front of my quilt, and that is what I'm going to fringe. I like a good amount of fringe on mine. If you want to change this technique and make this work more with a larger hoop where you're dealing with a larger space to work with so that you have more quilting background, completely up to you. I'm working with what I actually have available to me, which is my 8x8 hoop. So as you can see, I have sewn some of these together here, and I actually found some panels that were flannel. This is a different collection, not Moda, but I thought the colors worked really well with this. So I went ahead and cut those also into 10-inch squares and sewed them in the hoop, did the little quilting designs there. And now I have put these rows together. I did press these seams in opposite directions when I put them through the machine, and that's just going to make it easier for me to come in here now and trim this. And you want to just, you know, get a nice sharp pair of scissors. Unfortunately, these are not my sharp scissors. And you can cut about every 1/2 inch. There are rag scissors available out there that you can purchase, and you just want to go right down to your stitch line. You don't want to cut that stitch line, but you want to get just about to that so that you get a nice little fringe on this. Now, there is a key step in this when you are done doing all of your fringe all the way around. You do want to wash this and then dry it in 15-minute increments in your dryer. You do not want to go longer than that for the first time washing it. All of this fringe is going to fray, and you are going to have hordes of lint that is going to come up into your dryer catch, and you want to make sure you clean out that lint trap every 15 minutes that you have that drying until it is completely dry. Trust me, you do not want to make the mistake of not doing that. The last thing you need is to burn out the motor on your dryer. So I hope you guys enjoyed this demonstration, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Remember, you can download these quilting patterns through our affiliate link on kimberbell.com, but go to our website first and then click that link and it will take you over there, and then you can purchase these, and we get a nice credit from Kimberbell for that. So that's very helpful to us as a small business. All right, so I'm going to show you your demo codes, and you can go ahead and send all 3 codes to us at info@thequiltedcat.com, and we will go ahead and send you that free poinsettia jar topper. Again, that pattern is only available when you reply to us by December 31st with the 3 codes. All right, thanks so much. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye. Today's demo code is XCF31Z. Email your code to info@thequiltedcat.wi.com.